Hi, this is Meredith Lego. Welcome to my channel on Ascension Science and the Expansion of Consciousness. Today I'm going to touch upon a topic that I've actually presented in the past, but it's come up in my reality lately, and so I thought it would be good to basically share it for anybody who's new to the channel. And it's on the concept of mirroring or reflection. I'm going to be reading a passage that I channeled from Ascended Master Hilarion. So Ascended Master Hilarion is basically a being who lived on Earth at one point, but essentially ascended the need for reincarnation. And I channeled him going back to 2018 and 2019. That's when I was mostly working with him. And most of the content I did end up publishing in a book. So if you're interested, it should be listed in the comment section or the description section for this video. But I'll read the passage and then get into detail of unpacking that because it's come up in my reality in terms of things that I see playing out as well as things going on in my work right now. So the question that I asked Hilarion was to explain the concept of mirroring. What was it for and what's its purpose? He answers that in a lifetime, a being has many opportunities to learn lessons that help the being make a free will choice toward either love and compassion or hate, fear, and judgment. Those choices can manifest into physical reality as words, actions, and feelings. Source has put into the hologram the ability for a being to see a reflection of his or her thoughts as manifested physically through words, action, and facial features. The universe literally holds up a mirror for that person by having another being act as the mirror in the reflection. So if a being is hurtful or resentful, an opposing being will take the energy and bounce it back to the originator. This is the law of cause and effect, but with an immediate visual. The circling or cycling back of the energies occur through the law of attraction. When the being gives off an energy, either positive or negative, the electrons of that energy vibrate and spin at a certain rate. The energy is directed out into the universe from the originator, and then that intention slingshots the manifestation of the energy back around. It works no other way. The electrons in the energy cloud, are attracted back to a similar vibrating being, or the source. The visual aid of the mirror is meant to serve as the reflection. If the being is not awakened, the ego can take a negative energy as a sign of aggression or threat and will become embroiled in a battle of wills. So I'll pause right there. So as an example, let's say you've got somebody who's angry with another person in a conversation, and that person essentially, they're feeling it within their core of their body emotionally, and essentially they say something. Now that the feeling is what that end up emanating out as an energy cloud, that feeling, that frequency, then it'll go to the other person, and that person will say something that creates more of an argument type situation, or yelling or something like that, that'll bounce back to that originating person. So the cause of that individual, the other individual essentially coming back, let's say more confrontational, was the fact that the original individual had that frequency and that energy that was more confrontational, let's say. So chelas who are awakened will see the reflection as an awakening to their behavior and will reflect on the inner thoughts and vibrational charge they are emitting. They are more observant and use the occurrence as a symbol for growth. Truly gifted chelas take their consciousness out of their vehicles or their bodies and observe everyday interactions with other beings to see if they, as actors in a play, can respond in more constructive, loving ways to all situations. The mirrors, or other individuals that you're interacting with, so everybody else is a mirror to you, are best experienced as lessons in the second through fourth ascension stages, especially the second. So I'll pause right there. Ascended Master Hilarion taught me about different initiation stages of ascension. They're in the book, but I've also done videos on them, so you can go through my past video log on that. The second one has to do more with gaining more control over your emotional body. So that's what he's referencing. For it is through the mirrors that the emotions have the ability to be realized and mastered. Don't you think it's a rare treat indeed for this teaching tool to be inserted into the learning lab? A simple yet effective way for growth to occur. And the fix for a negative or fear-based reflection is so simple. The only way for a being to change an undesired reflection in the mirror is to change the source of the reflection, him or herself. This simple point is often missed in a being whose ego is in control. So, for example, somebody could be in an argument with somebody else, and often because in the third dimensional, physically based reality that most humans live in, there's a sense of separation. So I'm a being, that person over there is somebody different. I am different from the desk. So that's a feeling of separation instead of one integrated sense. So essentially, if I get into an argument with somebody else, I'm going to assume that person is arguing back at me as opposed to realizing that I am arguing with myself. In other words, in order to change the reflection of somebody arguing back at me, I simply need to change my inner state, my inner frequency. That's essentially what's being taught. So case in point, where this has come up for me recently, and I'm going to go into a couple other examples, is that, at work, there's different projects that go on inside of work. We've got different, major efforts going on. And sometimes, I see individuals who have sort of doom, gloom, reality or outlook of how certain project outcomes could go. Or even those who aren't around it or in it, but essentially are like, oh, if we do this, the world's going to come to an end. And so essentially, they're creating that intention and they're creating a frequency within their own emotional bodies that are charging towards that timeline to essentially happen. So another way to approach it is having a state of being or knowingness that the outcome is going to be exactly as you want it, almost the same knowingness and the same feeling as knowing that the sun's going to rise in the morning, that when you get a paper cut, your skin will heal, within a matter of days, that butter melts on hot toast. Like those are examples. This is going to happen. That is the same feeling that in this particular case, individuals should have about the positive outcome of this project. So you create a vision and you're actually matching your frequency towards what is going to happen. As soon as like in my case, I'm seeing people reflect back to me sort of doom and gloom scenarios. So there's something deep within myself that basically believes that this could be an outcome, whereas I need to check myself, but also they would have to check themselves as well towards that. Another example would be, let's say, a situation where you've got a victim and a bully. So, the victim has some deep-seated unconscious feelings going on of unworthiness or fear that is causing a bully to rise to the challenge and essentially mirror back to them their feelings of inadequacy or, fear, essentially. So if that individual did not have that deep-seated sense of fear or, let's say, unworthiness, there wouldn't necessarily be a bully in their timeline. That's an example. So how this all plays out in terms of how I learned it is that essentially there's many, many different timelines that an individual can go down from the now moment. So we can only create in the now moment Everything in the past is in the past. Everything in the future is in the future. You can only create now. You can't recreate in the future. You can only create now, right? You can only put yourself onto different timelines now. And so what timeline that you go on starts with an intention, starts with a frequency inside of your body, and then there's some sort of action that takes place out of that. So that is sort of the the magnetic thought of intention and energy that then gets expressed electrically through action. Okay. So essentially, with the many timelines that already exist in all realities, you're essentially plopping your consciousness into the timeline that matches the frequency that you are experiencing in that now moment. So that's why it's really important to check your frequency. And so if you've got, or if you've experienced something that, let's say, is less than, pleasant, or you're in a situation where that's, it's not particularly fun for you, it's a really good time to take a step back and think through, what am I feeling? Is there something deep within myself that, is causing this to be mirrored back to me, that I've got some sort of person in my life or situation going on that's mirroring back into me something that is deep-rooted subconscious, belief or feeling that I have. And that's the time to kind of check that. So anyway, I wanted to share this because I mentioned it was coming up in my life, and I thought it was a really good lesson when I first heard it. So with that, I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday, wonderful Christmas, and Happy New Year. And with that, I'll see you in future videos. Thanks. Bye.